Hey guys, I appreciate you checking out another edition of Conference Chatter TV. Now, I'll get to picking Big 12 games for the fourth week of the college football season momentarily, but I first wanted to thank some of the loyal posters on KUSports.com because earlier this summer, it was a little bit of a downtime and I was doing the Summer Gridiron Report and I asked them what is a good TV show to get into, and a lot of people said The Wire, which, as you see right here, I have finally finished. One of the best TV shows I've ever seen. Thank you for that recommendation. It's a great show, and I highly recommend it to anybody who's looking for a good TV show to watch. But anyways, I thought we'd go with a movie theme for that. I can't even take credit for this movie collection behind me. It's actually my roommate's. You see 3 levels here, but it's actually one more below, 4 levels of movies, and it's even alphabetically organized as well. Very impressive, but I cannot take credit for that. Anyways, let's get to some Big 12 football now. Thanks, guys, for checking out another edition. We're 26-7 here after 3 weeks, so let's see if we can improve upon that here next week. Now, Friday will be the first game here in the fourth week. We got Missouri at Nevada at 8 p.m. Now, Nevada's 0-2. They have losses at Notre Dame and Colorado State. Going to take Missouri in this game here on Friday night. The key here for Missouri has obviously been Blaine Gabbert, and the primary stat that I want to keep an eye on: 8 TDs, 0 interceptions. As long as he keeps doing stuff like that, I don't see the Tigers losing that many games this year. So I look for Missouri to win here on the road. The rest of the games take place on Saturday. I think the most intriguing one is Texas Tech at Houston. Both teams over 400 yards of passing offense per game. Both light up the scoreboard. Tech is number 1 in the nation in passing offense. Houston is number 4 in the nation. So great offenses here. Houston only a 1-point favorite in this one. And I'm going to go ahead and take Texas Tech. I really liked how they played last week in Austin. Taylor Potts, very composed. And I like Tech here on the road. See what we got next. Southern Miss at Kansas, an early kickoff at 11 a.m. Hey, one thing we've learned about Southern Miss is that this team can run the football. And it all starts with Damian Fletcher, who's averaging 114 yards per game, 4 touchdowns on the season in 3 games. This is going to test the KU defensive line. We've seen the Jayhawks step up in previous games against the pass. They're actually second in the nation with 14 sacks. And, Jake Labtad, Maxwell Onyegbulle doing their parts. But this is really going to test them against the run, something that they've been able to stop in the past. But a lot of teams, UTEP like to throw the ball. We'll see how the KU defensive line does here against Southern Miss. But I like the Jayhawks at home at Memorial Stadium. I see them improving this week and keeping that undefeated record going. Next, Tennessee Tech at Kansas State at 1:10 p.m. Not much to say about this one. Tennessee Tech is a FCS team, and I'm going to keep an eye on Carson Kaufman. Just 2 touchdowns this season, 4 interceptions. He's got to improve on that mark for the Wildcats to pile up some wins this season. I like K-State here, obviously at home against a lower level team, but hopefully for the Wildcats Kaufman has a better game passing. Next, UTEP at Texas. Texas won this game by a pretty wide margin, 42-13 last season in El Paso. The Horns, 36-point favorites coming into this one. Obviously going with Texas. Question is, will they cover? The first game of the season, they beat Louisiana Monroe by 39 at home. So I think the Longhorns are going to cover this one just barely. 36 is a whole ton of points, but they should win somewhere in that range. The Longhorns will roll at home in this one. Next, UAB at Texas A&M. Going to go with the Aggies here in this game. UAB's 1-2 on the season. So, I don't know. I think the Aggies roll here pretty convincingly. I know it's early, but A&M, I was looking at this, first in the country in total offense. I would not have guessed that. They've only played 2 games. Of course, they've had a bye as well. But still, this is a pretty impressive offense. They can run the ball effectively with Christine Michael and Cyrus Gray. It's a nice 1-2 punch. One of their wide receivers, their best wide receiver actually, Jeff Fuller, is out 4 to 6 weeks with a cracked fibula. That's a bit of a setback, but keep an eye on freshman wide receiver Uzama Wachiku. I think I pronounced that correctly, but 3 receptions, 101 yards, 3 touchdowns last week. He scored every time he touched the ball last week against Utah State. He looks like a very polished freshman receiver there for the Aggies. Next, Grambling State at Oklahoma State. Not much to say here. Grambling is an FCS team. I see the Cowboys rolling big in this one by, anywhere from 30 to 40 points. Next, we got Louisiana Lafayette at Nebraska at 6 p.m. Hey, credit Lafayette. Their non-conference is kind of impressive. Of course, we've seen them in the Big 12 play K-State. They beat K-State 17-15 earlier this year, and they just got through playing LSU. They lost 31-3, granted, to LSU, but they've played some nice opponents, and now Nebraska. I like the Huskers at home. They're 26-point favorites. I don't know if they win by quite that much, but I'll look to see. I'll look for them to win by anywhere from 20 to 25 points. I like Nebraska pretty big at home, especially after what happened last week to Virginia Tech. I think the Huskers are going to be pretty hungry for a victory. Northwestern State at Baylor. This one, the Bears should win this one convincingly. Northwestern State, an FCS team, and they're 0-3 on the season. I feel like I'm finally predicting a game correct for the Bears. I missed both of their previous games. Now, if they lose this one, you know that I have the curse of picking Baylor. So I look for Baylor to win this one very big. Takes us on to our last one, Army at Iowa State, 6 p.m. This is kind of interesting. It has a nice little storyline going. The Cyclones, I've heard they plan to cheer Army players before they take the field for this game. They're calling it their Take the Field tribute here in Ames. I think it's a very nice thing, kind of honoring the military personnel. Speaking of which, they'll have military personnel parachuting into Jack Trice Stadium at 4:45 p.m. I think they also have 3 helicopters that are going to be flying over the stadium after the national anthem is sang. So I like that. I think that's a very nice gesture from Iowa State. Should be interesting to keep an eye on that. But I like the Cyclones in this game. They snapped a 17-game road losing streak last week at Kent State. That was one of the longest in the nation, maybe the longest in the nation, I think. So Paul Rhodes has got them going in a nice direction over there. I like the Cyclones at home. I think that'll do it. Oklahoma and Colorado are on byes this week. So before I sign off, I just kind of wanted to dedicate this episode of Conference Chatter TV to the late Albert Sorrentino, my grandfather who recently passed away in New York. I like to say he had a little bit of influence on my passion for sports. I remember visiting him in New York, and whether it was a story about Joe DiMaggio or how he used to keep a running tally of picks he'd make with my dad on NFL games, sports always seemed to come up with him in casual conversation. In fact, to this day, my parents, myself, and my brother, we've kept that tradition, that NFL picks tradition going, and we pick every game in the NFL on Sundays. So thank you for the memories, Granddad, and you will be missed by all of us. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the latest edition. Enjoy the games this weekend, and I will talk to you again after the games are done this weekend. Take care, guys. Thanks again.